Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Atomic Mass Transmissions Live. I'm Director of Product Development, Will Schick, and today we have an unexpected but very exciting thing we're going to be doing. I'm going to be painting the Darth Vader from the upcoming Star Wars Shatterpoint You Cannot Run Duel Pack. So those eagle-eyed among you today might have noticed that there was a little bit of a mix-up, a little kerfuffle, and something that was supposed to be shown in 2 days was actually shown on May 2nd. So we jumped the gun a little bit. And of course, because it snuck out there, we were like, well, let's just pivot a little bit and go ahead and show off everything today on the stream. There's still going to be a ton more information coming for the actual May 4th. May the 4th announcement, and so you should watch out for the social medias and the website and all that good stuff. There's going to be articles and a whole smorgasbord of information. But today we figured we wouldn't keep you in suspense. We'd answer a couple of questions about what this thing is, what's going on, why were pictures shown with things that clearly didn't belong, and also give you a chance to see it in person since we have a stream going today. Might as well take a look at this glorious beast in action. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump over here. So, oh my gosh, see, I already spoiled something. So here is the full set of You Cannot Run. So obviously, one of the things we love to do at Atomic Mass with the games that we get to work on is create really cool scenic dioramas, little display pieces that players can obviously put a lot of hobby effort into and create something that's cool on the table when they play and on the shelf. This is actually meant to come on and off if you want to, so you can use this thing as a little piece of terrain in your games. But of course, you can also glue it down and just make it part of the piece. And then you have your little display there for when your characters are there. And it recreates the first meeting of these characters in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. So we see that Obi-Wan is on the back foot. Darth Vader is very much in control. The fire hasn't broken out from this little container here yet, so he's still good to go. And so with that said, we're going to go ahead and pull off this Darth Vader. Whoop! And slide the rest of that aside because we're just going to focus on Vader today. I'm going to be using oil paints again. So I've already done the pre-glazing step. I have all the makeup sponges this time. So if you watched the last painting stream that we did a couple weeks ago, you will know that I forgot my makeup sponges and I had to use Q-tips. You shouldn't use Q-tips because Q-tips leave behind little fuzzies. And you don't want to do that. So we're going to do oils with Vader today. This is really fun. This is actually my second Vader that I've painted with oils. And the big thing to know here is that I've skipped the whole pre-glaze stage. So I've already painted my Vader with all of his pre-colors. So even though he looks very black, we actually have a very thin wiped away layer of pre-glazed blacks, which I mixed Prussian blue and midnight black together. I put it all over all of our Vader portions. Then I let it sit for about 20 minutes, wiped it all off with the makeup sponges. Here are my dirty makeup sponges. So you can see that I did that. And that's going to give us a nice little glaze layer to work over and everything's going to be going on. So with that all said, let's go ahead and get to painting. And we're going to start just by kicking in with a filbert brush, if I can find one here. We'll use this one. That seems fine. I'm going to grab some Prussian blue and some black. And I think we're going to grab some of this phthalo blue, and we're just going to kind of like work up a nice highlight color, because one of the cool things about working with oils is the fact that they're going to blend on the mini, so we can actually go much, much higher than we would normally. Take some of my oilless paint thinner here, and add just a little drop to that to make sure that the paint will flow and mix well, but I don't want to add too much because I need those paints to stay thick, because the more I work on them, the higher up we're going to go. And we'll start with this and just see what's going on. So this is for Shatterpoint. It is a dual pack, so it's similar to kind of the rival sets that we've done for Star Wars Shatterpoint. They're just scenes or like iconic kind of moments from the shows or the movies or the media, and they're fun ways for us to allow players to kind of dive in and tell really cool stories through their miniatures and have them on the shelf and everything. And so we very much like taking the opportunity to do this. This was done right alongside the Inquisitor's box, so the Jedi Hunter's box, which we showed off at Adepticon. this Duel pack was the redacted slide that we weren't allowed to show because it was supposed to be saved for a big May the 4th announcement, but as we discussed, some internet gremlins got into the works and some images got mixed around, and so we're doing it a little early, and that's okay. So I think we're going to do the cloth in this blue, and then I think I'm going to go back. And I'm going to use the magic of oils to remove what I did on the helmet because I don't like it. Show it really quick. I think I'm going to use blue for the cloth, and then I'm going to use black and brilliant yellow pale, or I think this one's called Naples yellow, for the armor pieces, and we're going to try to get some nice differences in our blacks here. So I'm going to do the gloves with this and everything else. But yes, so these characters go right alongside those Jedi Hunters. This Vader and Obi-Wan are drawn directly from the Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus show. And one of the really cool things about these characters is they're obviously going to introduce a different era option for folks to be able to play with right away. Oh, just move it. Yeah. Put it wherever you want it, Summer. Wherever you want it. And I think the biggest exciting part about these characters is that they are not single era, they are multi-era. So that means that they kind of span a couple of different time zones in terms of their character, like origins and stuff. Part of that obviously allows them to mix into squads right away and add a lot of variety and interest to the game out of the gate, which is really cool. So you can take this Vader with your Galactic Republic clones if you'd like, for example, because this is the Vader who's tooling around right around that Rise of the Empire, end of the Clone Wars, Rise of the Empire time. So if you're a big fan of some of the Star Wars comics and storylines, we know that Vader runs around with clones as the Empire's kind of gearing up and getting back into the Stormtrooper program. So you can use this Vader here to run alongside your Galactic Empire stuff or your Galactic Republic stuff. No, it's not the brush that I normally paint with. So this is a filbert brush. These are brushes that I only really use when I'm doing oils, but they work really well for the oils. So, and I want to make a green black. So I'm going to take some of this black, I'm going to take some of this green, more of that green. And that's probably too bright, but I think we can tone it down. Maybe take a little of this alizarin crimson. That's getting slightly better. So I'm going to do the Vader suit in kind of a different color as well. And I want my blacks to be slightly different throughout the whole thing if I can pull it off here. So we just want to add a bit of different flavor to each of our blacks so that it kind of stands out, and that's going to give us some visual interest. That's going to be really important. All right, so we're just going to come into the pants here. We're going to knock out these colors. And the cool thing about oils, if you watch the one where we did Bo-Katan in the oils, the really neat thing about oils is you have so much working time with them that you can really do some wild stuff. And you can always go back and kind of like change your mind on things and fix errors and all that good stuff. So we have all the flexibility in the world to kind of make up our minds and play around with things and do some different takes. For instance, mix up this little like gray color here and come in and start picking out the ridges and highlights on the pants and everything. But so this Vader is a primary unit for the game, which is pretty neat, since you can have him lead, your Galactic Republic squads, since he does come from that era if you choose, or You can obviously sub him in or use him alongside some of the Inquisitors in the Jedi Hunters pack. And he's been designed to kind of fit right alongside those devious little Jedi Hunters as well. Let's see, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's clean off that brush really quick. And then we need to do the armor. So let's grab a different filbert. This one will work just fine. I'm going to grab some brilliant yellow pale. Put that over here. Grab a little bit of black. Over here. So hopefully you can see on the palette cam specifically how we have these three different colors, right? We have this greener black here, we have this blue chromatic, and then we have this brilliant yellow pale black, which is kind of almost a gray. And these three different kind of flavors of black, or black highlight specifically, because black is defined by its highlight, they're what gonna really help these different areas stand out ideally, and make our Vader, look like Vader, but also be a bit more interesting to the eye and hold some attention and everything. So, how many non-saber wielders are we getting as primaries? How many are there? There's not really a quota, I guess, is my answer to that question. But we've announced several already, between the Adepticon stuff and everything else. So there will be quite a few in the end. Come in, knock that out. Come over here, knock that out. And I'm doing like really big, broad kind of strokes here, so everything looks very chunky and not quite smooth, and that's because I'm going to go back in and I'm going to start blending this stuff what's on the mini. So I'm mostly just kind of sketching out my highlights here. And again, this is one of the really neat thing about how oils work, is that you can kind of work in everything that you want and sketch it out, and then you can kind of smooth all of your little blends away. Because you have so much working time with them and everything going on. So let's grab this helmet, and we'll just kind of come down, and we'll be pretty rough and ready here. So we're going to get pretty gross and sloppy, but again, that's okay, because I just want to sketch out where these highlights are supposed to go, and we can kind of knock them back as we go. So we're going to have a very clear ugly phase. We talk about the ugly phase a lot when it comes to like just in general painting. Just in general, you get that ugly phase when you're painting with acrylics, but with oils, you can have an incredibly ugly phase because you're going to see brush strokes and you're going to see like all this mottled color, and it's really going to be up to you to come back in and kind of smooth and blend those away. But as long as you trust the process and realize that you can really experiment and try things, and if it doesn't work, one of the glorious things about oils is if you go down a road and you don't like it, you can just wipe it all off. You can do that and start over from scratch. And that's, I think, one of the really fun things about using this technique and stuff like that is you just have so much, the little armor cod piece here, you just have so much freedom when it comes to working in these colors and what you can pull off and all of that, there's nothing you can't try and get stuck with. All right, so we have a very roughed out Vader. Epic Duck Studios, here we go. Raiden. I need to go back to this color. And I want to get under here. So I need to black out the underside of this cloak. And come over here, kick that in. Just make sure that we got everything that we need for that color. Seems pretty happy. Get the back side of the glove here. Maybe hit this side of the glove a bit more. And we'll come in with some white. Looks like an even lighter color here. Great. And I'm going to switch brushes again, because I can just have all the brushes going at once. Sure, why not? And I need to fill, I'm going to fill that up with my, whoa, paint thinner went a little crazy. It's okay. And we'll come in here, we'll go to here. Let's come around, kind of start sketching out where we want those really bright brights to be. We're going to go real far into the blue side, and then we're just going to start using our black, I think, to kind of blend everything back down, make it all make sense, and bring it back into the darker color that we want. But zoom in a bit more for everyone. You have the power, Summer. You have the power. We'll come over here. And the brush strokes, we don't have to worry about those because we can just scumble those away. And everything. And the more we blend, the more we can get rid of this stuff. So there's a lot of process here that's going on and everything. Will Vader and Anakin be unique from each other and both be... No, you can't take them both. We can have the discussion all day long about whether or not Anakin and Darth Vader are different people from a soul perspective, but from a flesh bag perspective, they are the same body. So that's a choice you'll have to make. And then, not to give too much away, but the Obi-Wan in the pack is actually not a primary character. He is a secondary character. As this scene kind of represents Obi-Wan before he's really come back and accepted the weight of responsibility and reconnected, reattuned with the Force and all of that stuff. So again, this dual pack really takes the idea of their first meeting and throws it all together. Okay. I'm pretty happy with where that's shaken out. Now I think what we have to do is we need to go in and reestablish some shadows. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find a brush to do that with that I like. And that brush doesn't exist right now, so that's okay. That's all right. So we'll just use this brush here. And this one I'm going to thin down a bit. And we're just going to come back in and kind of work in again those places where we want to reestablish our darks. So I can kind of refine my lines, and I can come back in and darken up this stuff and everything. here, kind of mixing that stuff. Just working some of that. Come over here. Some of that. And again, all I'm really doing is I'm just trying to lay down some extra color, and then I can come in using a clean dry brush, and I can mix it. I can mix it. Or blend it together in a way that's going to look, hopefully, really nice. Again, we know that we want to put our dark line here. So we're going to have our dark line kind of come across here. And then we're going to come in here and here. Some dark here. Add some more black over here. Some more black over here. Some here. Some into there. With our armor. Black, add some black. Some black here. And maybe we'll get some black in here. And we can always push this all the way back if we need to. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to start kind of like blending stuff in once I feel like I have my darks where I want them. And then we'll just kind of see how it plays out. And there's a lot of back and forth process with this, but that's part of what makes it really fun, is that you kind of just get to experiment. You get to play a lot, and you're not really tied in to anything too specific. Come back here. I'm just going to put a little bit of black here. Okay. I think I'm ready to start scumbling. So I'm going to grab a clean dry brush. I think we'll take this one. And then we're just going to start tapping these colors together. So you can kind of see how just pull some paint and tap. And all of a sudden those lines that we have, those really strong division lines between our colors, just slowly fade away. And this is my favorite part of painting with oils. So that you can just kind of like take ugly and blend it into whatever you want. And if we decide that this cloak isn't dark enough, like we're like, this is still too blue, we can solve that too. So we just kind of like start blending those colors together. Here I'm not going to scumble, I'm just going to pull these two. And then if I feel like I have too much paint on the brush, so one of the things that you can do if you're just straight scumbling, which we're kind of doing a combination of scumbling and blending. If you work from the top of the mini to the bottom of the mini, obviously you'll wind up with more paint on your brush, which means that your scumbling will become darker and darker the further down you go. And so that's a great way to be able to get your shadows and everything in there. So we're still a lot on the blue side, but that's okay. We can pull in more black if we want. If we feel like that's where we want to go with it. Maybe here we'll just kind of like scumble in. We can come into this corner. And remember, we did that pre-glaze, so I do have my darkest dark in a lot of the crevices where that makeup sponge didn't go. So I can pull that color in too. And hopefully you can see how it's just so cool how oils work on the mini themselves, and how much control you really have with your blends and everything, and how you can just kind of like blend things away and make areas darker, make them lighter. Like here, we'll take this side right here. We'll just kind of like blend that down. blend it up. We can come up here and blend that shadow in there. We can come over to the shoulder pads and darken that up if we need to. We can tighten up our lines. So, and the more you work the areas, obviously the more they're going to mix together, and the darker or brighter your color will become depending on what colors you're mixing together and all of that. We can go back and forth and continue to work on that. Like here, we can come down here into this section of the cloak, this undercloak, and we can pull that color and deepen it up. We already went over here and got that. Maybe we want this underside to be dark. So you can see my brush has all of this paint on it now that's been mixed together, so it's pretty dark. So I can just take that color and move it right in and use it to deepen up my shadows if I want. And so, yeah, take a look at that. Like, we're not quite there yet. I think we need to add a little bit more dark to that cloak, but my goodness. From like tubes of color to this really great smooth blend. And so we have all this room. So I'm going to clean off this brush really quick. Just wipe off. And when I say clean it, all I'm doing is I'm just wiping the paint off on a paper towel. I'm not actually using thinner right now because if I wind up with paint thinner on my brush and it's wet, it won't do the scumbling, it won't do the blending as well. So I want to be very careful with that. What's happening over there, Summer?
I legit just butt dialed. That was kind of weird.
I was like, you're getting a call, Missy.
I called someone.
All right. And then we're going to take that helmet that was really gross and yellow, and we're just going to start scumbling out these blends, and we're going to leave that little sunspot right there. Yeah, look at that nice little reflection. We'll come over here, and maybe we'll leave that reflection down there. And we'll scumble this together. And we'll get this top. So we'll take away some of that, all that yellow, that gross yellow blue that looks weird. We'll kind of just pull it all together. Maybe we decide that we just want to come back in and do that. And then I put that brush in my teeth, not in my mouth. Come over here and I grab some of our black and I say, I want this to be darker. I want to really push this. So I just start, now I start blending in more black. I come over to my blending brush now, my scumble brush, which has got all this paint on it. I mix that in. I come over here and I say, I want that to be a little darker. And I just come in and I scumble it out. I say, oh, I like that little sunspot. I like that bright reflection. So I'm just going to leave that, but I'm going to put that stuff in. And then maybe I say, you know what? I feel like I'm missing my highlight that should be there. So I go into my Naples yellow, my brilliant yellow pale. I take my little liner brush and I say, okay, let's hit some little highlights here. So come over the eye ridge where light would catch. Maybe we come down to the nose. Come down here, we come across the edges. And it just blends right off the brush and right onto the thing. So I'm like, oh, this little ridge here needs a little bit of that. Oh, it's a little too strong. Okay, let's just grab our brush that still has paint loaded on it from the scumbling and the blending. Let's knock it out. Yeah, so we were really lucky, again, as we talked about at AdeptCon, but this is true for the, for the Duel pack here, is that we were able to work with LFL and get some early access on stuff. And it was really neat to be able to kind of like introduce
the idea of cross eras and new eras and all that stuff a little sooner than we might normally have been able to. And of course, do it with characters that were really iconic and a show that was, a long time coming. A lot of excitement about seeing those characters and to be able to do an iconic kind of duel moment. And launch, with the hobby element to it. Because the game, we love the game and everything, but the hobby nature is also super important and a big part of how we look at these games and what we do as creators and players and hobbyists ourselves. We really want to just get some of that nice bright reflection in there. We really want to be able to live all those dreams and show how miniatures games are, there's a lot more than just the game. There's the aspirational element, there's the skill development on all sides, there's the storytelling element. Story is such a huge deal. Everything we do at Shatterpoint, these interpersonal stories, these character-driven battles, better way to kind of like launch off with that and show it than to do a dual pack right out of the gate. And of course, we're looking forward to doing more of these and to explore all those great iconic fights between different characters and everything else. So let's blend out our bottom armor. I did not clean off my brush here, so I'm kind of just working those paints in. That down. Go over here. Put that in. And I think somebody was asking or talking about it on somewhere online when our little oopsie happened, and some folks got a little overzealous with their picture picking. And but you can easily just leave this bit off, this little piece of broken speeder that Vader's going to huck at poor Obi-Wan. It just connects down here, if you can see that. There's just a little slot. So you just have to fill up the slot, and then you'd be good to go with everything. Okay, I really want to come back in and reestablish my shadows now. Pretty happy with where we are on the highlights, but I feel like, we really need to reestablish the blacks. So I'm just going to grab our brush. I may even say goodbye to that blender. And we'll say hello to this blender because it's clean. And now, a bit more thinner on the brush. And I just want to come in and start reestablishing some of our blacks here. So, for instance, and this becomes I think the thing that I'm still figuring out when it comes to oil paints is the ratio of thinner to paint and making sure that your paint will stick properly, but that it won't have so much thinner that it pulls off the rest of the underlying levels of paint. And I think that's just, very inexperienced at this still learning, still exploring, having a blast doing so. Let's kind of blend those shadows in. Reestablish some of those blacks. Just kind of build that out. Come over here, get in here, Get that really nice and dark again. I'm just going to scumble that back. Beautiful, beautiful. Maybe we'll come on this side. We'll establish some black here. And we'll just kind of pull that out, scumble it in. Come over to the top of the shoe. Do that. All right, come back here. That knee pad. Kind of blend that in. Back here, because we're really in shadow, so I think we can go a little darker there. Come over here. I still want this to be dramatic. I'm kind of imagining that, you know, if I'm imagining that scene where we see these two, and it's dark and it's a little moonlit, and so we're getting a lot of those blues in there, which are real nice. So we kind of want, I want this Vader to feel a bit like he's illuminated with a cold blue moon. So I'm okay with the fact that my black is really leaning into this midnight blue kind of color, but the challenge here, the trick, the fun part, is finding that right ratio of blue to black. And this is where our oil paints really shine, because we can go back and forth and back and forth, back and forth and back and forth. Like I could do this for the next 4 hours and keep Summer in that chair and not let her go anywhere. Until I was happy with it, until I felt like we were in a great spot. And it really is, it's just wet blending, like it's wet blending in Super Saiyan God mode, really. Like you just have so much control, so much time, so much freedom. It's so fun. And well, I don't think it would ever replace, you know, kind of standard acrylic painting for me. In general, it's been such a joy to kind of get to explore it on the Shatterpoint characters and just turn these minis more into art projects than necessarily like tabletop minis, and to learn a new skill and all that stuff, and to just have the freedom, the luxury to be able to really mess around and play with, again, so few consequences. Because even if I get done with this stream and I'm like, oh, I don't like any of this, this is all bad, a couple, like 30 minutes with a makeup sponge, and I can literally wipe it all off and start again. And I can try different things and do. Oh, I could throw them on the ground. Get on the ground, Vader. Butterfingers. So this Vader is from the You Cannot Run Duel pack. There'll be tons more info coming out for it. On May the 4th, it's our big May the 4th reveal, but it's going to be much sooner than people think. It's going to come right alongside that Jedi Hunters squad pack. And I believe that was announced for July. So Wave 2. So you don't have to wait that long to get a Vader in to your games of Shatterpoint. You can start hunting down all those pesky Jedi right away. Grand Inquisitor and our boy Vader here. Just kind of come in. It's maybe a little sloppy here, so I'm trying to rush. That's the other really nice thing about oils, is if you make a mistake, you can easily blend it away. Okay, and the one thing I want to do, like obviously the, you know, folks in the chat talking about how Wave 2 is pretty big, and it is. But it's really important to us, and I think to the health of a game like Shatterpoint, that you know you launch really strong. So it's gonna feel like a lot, and there is a lot that's gonna come out in those initial months. But we want to make sure that the game has the support and the foundation it needs to be tactically and strategically interesting for players, that we get it to a good, healthy spot right out of the gate. And then from there, you know, it won't maintain that pace forever, obviously. Like it will cool a bit and go into a more like stable release cadence, where there'll be new and cool things coming out, but it won't quite be as strong or robust as those first few months. And again, that's because you want that good strong start, right? We want players to have a lot of fun options to explore. We don't want the games to start feeling very too stale or samey. We obviously want to get a lot of different fan favorite characters out so that players can explore and they can really realize the possibilities, not necessarily the end all be all destination, but where we're going, what the possibilities are, how all that stuff will work and everything else. I'm just going to kind of like come in and hit these lines on the glove, using a bit of a pin wash. Come back in, do that again on the other glove. She's got those nice little ridges. Boop, 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 boop. Get that palm nice and reestablished and dark. And then I think what I need to do is come back over to my black-green color here, and I need to pick out better highlights. We're kind of losing we're losing a little bit of our form here, so can really go high on this because it'll just kind of mix together. The big trick, again, as I'm learning and kind of working it out, is how much thinner to add so their paint sticks and blends and flows really nice, but doesn't ruin the paint job underneath. So less is more, less is more. And then you can kind of like add more if you need to. Come over to this side here. Knock that out. Okay, and then I think I need a new brush, shockingly enough, because I'm just going to keep going. I don't want to waste time. I don't want to waste time with cleaning my brushes all the time, so that's not fun. I'm just going to clip in some of this. Get in under the shoulder and really darken that up. Get in under the shoulder and really darken that up. There we go. so I'm liking where this is going for the most part. We need to hit that belt. For this, we're just going to really come in with a pretty hot amount of white. And we also need to do the saber. So we'll just kind of like come through. One of the things that I really like to do overall, you'll notice I'm not working on, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing the, I'm not doing the piece of debris that he's throwing. And the reason that I'm not doing that is because when he's dried, which will be in about a week, because we're using oils pretty traditionally here. But once he's dry, I will go back in and I will actually use acrylics, and I'll do, and I will do acrylics with real metallics. So I'll use traditional metallics to pick out all the metals, and I'll probably do that on the saber too, although I did a little bit of work on the saber just to kind of show you how quickly you can, with just a little bit of white mixing in with your black, how you can kind of like pick out those things. It's the same with like the buttons and stuff, so we can be pretty quick and easy on those and yet still have, like his chest box here has really gotten away from me, but I can fix that by again just kind of coming back in with some darks. And let's just say we want to fix it really quick. I can mix up some black, and I can come in over here and do that. And I can get that chest box going and get it back toned down. Just like that. And then I could even grab like a little makeup sponge. I can just do a quick little wipe. And then I can grab, let's say, this guy. Come back in. Just do edge, edge. And if I had my reference, I'd know what colors go where, but I don't. So I'll probably mess this up, and I apologize, Simone, that I'm going to get the button colors wrong. But, you know, I'm at least admitting that it's going to probably not be correct on the stream. But hey, I did a Vader, and I made sure to do his buttons right already, so this one can just be my Vader. And I'm just going to kind of hit in a little bit of specular highlights here really quick, just because I can. I'm going to put a little bit on his thumb there. Hit those, do that. Those, hit that. And let's go to this one really quick. Just want to pick out some additional highlights on the helmet here. I think we did a good job darkening it up, but I just want to come back in and reestablish some of that. Sweet, I like it, I like it. I'm going to hit that a little bit more. No, and I think we're going to do some scumbling. I'm going to do some scumbling because I think I still have 2 clean scumbling brushes. And now I'm just going to scumble. I'm not going to. So when you're doing scumbling, you just tap. It's just a gentle, light tap, and it'll remove your brush strokes, and it kind of blends for you, but it's not as aggressive. It's not as aggressive as when we were doing the brush blending, right? Like, so you have to be a little careful with your scumbling because you will, you know, you have the possibility of erasing everything that you've done. Like on the helmet here where we have our next highlight that we put in, we're just going to scumble those away, and we're going to watch those ugly, ugly brush strokes just fade away. They're just going to disappear. So cool. So you just tap right at the edge of where the colors are, like where the 2 colors meet, and they'll just go away for you. And the more you scumble, the more it'll go away. So, you know, obviously you'll keep blending it together. So you want to be aware of that. Excellent, excellent. Okay. Let's do the saber really quick, and then we'll throw in some buttons. Buttons. Okay, so for the saber, I had a red brush. There it is. I'm just going to grab some red. And you'll see I got some black on my saber, but that's whatever. Doesn't really matter. Just kind of use it to our advantage here. Get a lot of that red on there. Kind of moosh that out. And you can do some pretty cool OSL stuff with oils because of the way they blend and everything, but I'm not going to do that here. Okay. And I'm going to clean that brush off by just kind of like mixing it out. And I'm going to set him down for a second. I'm going to grab this orange. Ooh, it's the first time I've used that. Look at all that linseed oil. All right. I think you got a little ways to wait on the rules for our Vader here, but there's more information about this set that's coming. Now we're just going to start mixing in again, just kind of like wet blending our orange into our red. We can get that really nice kind of like mottled glow in there. Kind of like that. So really easy to get that nice mixed red and orange effect. Not going too far one way or the other. Then we can work that back and forth. We can add a little white in there if we want to. Add some yellow if we want it to just be hotter. Let's say we just want to add some white. Do I have any undiluted white? I sure don't. I've mixed so much blues and blacks and everything else in that I don't have any white. Hold on a second. Put him down. Let's grab out a little unmussed up with white. And then let's grab a little bit of that, a little bit of this. Go in. Oh, we got more visitors.
You had other visitors? She talked about not getting these buttons correct.
I haven't even painted the buttons yet, Simone. But we're about to get there. We're about to get there. We got red buttons and green buttons. But I don't remember which is which, so I'm just gonna go crazy.
Oh wow! I can get you a photo real quick.
No, I don't care. I don't care. All right, so we're gonna say that this button here is red. Boop. Come on. Oh. What can I do for you, Simone? You're kind of making me nervous right now.
I'm just chilling.
This is
I was here
delicate.
to make sure you painted the buttons correctly, but now.
Well, you tell me where the buttons go, and I'll paint them. But it's too late now.
You said it. Yeah.
I'm painting reds. And let's take this red. Let's take some alizarin crimson. Plus, these names are just fun to say, especially if you love Bob Ross. Prussian blue, alizarin crimson. I don't have any Indian yellow though. We're just going to come in and we're going to do the eyes really quick. Now, technically, Vader's eyes are not red, but they have a red hue. And so that's all we're going to do here. We're just going to doing chest buttons. Ah! I dropped them again.
Top blue, bottom red.
Blue?
Yeah.
No, I don't. As many times as I choose, ma'am. All right. So let's give them a little bit of that red. Clean that out really quick. What do you need?
I was done with my meeting and figured I'd come say hi.
No, this
At
is
the most critical moment.
this is a new one. This is a new one, I tells you. And I don't like it. All right, come back here. And just want the hint. I just want that hint of red to come off those eyes. And then what I can do is I can come back in here. Boop. Boop. Grab a bit of our paint from before. And I can just clean up our effect because we don't want, Simone Elliott, we don't want glowing red eyes.
No.
Because that would be wrong.
Inappropriate.
Yeah, Vader's eyes don't glow red. They're just tinted red. Or amber, depending on the Vader that you're looking at, obviously. So many rules to Vader. I've learned so much. Establish this black in here. Establish this black in here. At some point, I assume Summer will be like, you have to be done. But until she says
That's totally not why I'm here.
Until she says that. To tell Summer to tell me to be done? That seems like something you'd love.
On that note, sir, you got approximately 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
I'll give you.
That's not enough time.
Okay, no, actually, you only have 2.
No, 5 is fine.
Wow.
I can look.
All about the gaslighting. Okay. Well, you know what? That's fine, because I think we can call this Vader done. Unless I should do his. He doesn't have a green button. He has a blue button and a red button. Is that true?
Yes.
That seems false.
Top blue, bottom red, and then when you're looking at him, his rightmost switch is red.
Rightmost switch. So this is blue, huh? I think I did mine at home wrong. No, I don't. I believe you. Oh, those are on a different side. I'm doing the wrong buttons.
Oh.
Whatever. This Vader's free, and he's artsy, and so we'll just do the buttons.
Yep.
We'll do the buttons wherever we want. Oh, now Dallas is here to tell me about the buttons. Everybody's showing up for these buttons. It's popular business. Dallas, do you have any words you'd like to say about this duel pack? I'm sure they'd love to hear from you about the Duel pack. Here.
Why are you making me talk?
Because you walked in here.
I was just hanging out. Because I'm waiting for you for the next meeting.
What meeting?
You have a meeting.
Do I? I don't know.
Oh, look at this. 203. I get in trouble by Summer when I go over, and you just get to willy-nilly.
She started 5 minutes.
Just do whatever
late. She
you
told me
want.
that
Just
I would
gotta be
get an
like,
extra 5 minutes.
what?
Because she started us 5 minutes late.
I never get an extra 5 minutes.
Did she start you 5 minutes late?
So all the time. Constantly. I'm trying to remember how this started. Like, this was a very interesting one. Like, we didn't have a lot of references, and we worked very closely with our partner, and that's yeah, it's super.
6 months before the show came out,
Yeah,
at least.
Gross.
and it was very cool to be able to work on our Obi-Wan Kenobi in hiding and Vader going after him, and I think it really captures the essence of that scene. Like Vader just being a boss and Obi-Wan just kind of on the back foot. There's some fun references there. Like, you gotta kind of real subtly look at them, though. If you're not paying attention, you know what I'm talking about. You see it right there, right? Yeah. Look at that. Where Vader's at. Mm-hmm.
I'll give you this back. I don't want it, though.
I need some order in the stream room.
You have to control them.
I've been
Summer.
gone for so long that I've just missed this whole experience.
All right, fine. I guess we'll have to be done at this point because people are telling me I have to go to meetings now or whatever. I don't know what meetings I'm going to.
It's almost like they brought the meetings to you, though.
I feel like that's true. We should just have the meeting on stream while I continue to paint. There's nothing secret about it. Let's be honest. We can't keep secrets around here. They just leak out. They just leak away. There's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza. A hole in the bucket. All right. Well, I will stop with my scumbling. And Dallas put this in a spot where I'm sure you can't even hear me now. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows?
You guys saw the whole thing done.
We weren't even painting Vader this week.
It's true. We weren't even painting Vader this week, and then we were. That's how crazy it is around here. Establish this black really quick. Get in there, black. Yeah. Scumble you up. Scumble. All right, we're going to call this done because I'll keep going. I'll do this for the next 2.5 hours until he's done. So that's about as long as it takes. So here's where we ended up. And I'm very, very happy with where we are. I've got a couple days to finish this fine second Vader in oils. So I'll probably go in and mess with the shadows and the highlights a little bit more. And we'll see how he kind of dries out, because obviously your one challenge with oils is that they're very shiny, so you do have to kind of see through the sheen, but not bad for an hour's worth of work. This would be a great tabletop mini, and we'll do one more shot of him on the base. Boop. There. Look at that. How's that?
Nice and blurry.
Nice and blurry. Well, I don't know. Come fix it, Summer. You're right there. Come fix it so we can rock out. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me on this. What is happening now?
Did you want me to fix it or what?
What?
You can't give it an outro and fix it.
I was going to keep talking while everything was going on, so.
Well, then you looked at the camera.
What? I was looking at you. Like, geez Louise. So this is going to be releasing alongside the Jedi Hunters Pack in July. To kind of complete the Obi-Wan Kenobi show experience. That'll be coming to Shatterpoint. And there we go. All right, so chaos continues to reign. At that, we're going to say goodbye. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you on the next one. Be sure to tune back in tomorrow. Well, Dallas Kemp is going to be painting something from Star Wars Shatterpoint. I think so. I think he's painting Kalani tomorrow. But who knows? Who knows what tomorrow will bring? We never know.
We'll see you on the next one. Until then, stay good, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye.